and I think at this point we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and obviously Instagram. This episode, I just called it How to See the Bright Side. I figured, hey, that's sort of makes sense there. So how can we get somebody who only sees the dark side to see the bright side? I'm going to press record on this in 3, 2, 1.
Leaders and healers, ladies and gentlemen, gamers and claimers from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community. Welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, life coach, speaker, author, trainer, friend to you on this phone call, on this podcast, ready to serve, ready to give you the best wisdom that I've learned over the past 15 and 20 years, being in the self-help industry, studying it profusely, intensely, so I could make an upgrade in my life, make an update, install new software that 90% of the world is not telling you about the other side of life, about how to upgrade human software. We all take our phone and upgrade it. We all take our computer and upgrade it. But rarely do we look in the mirror and say, how do I upgrade this brain? How do I upgrade my heart? How do I upgrade this body? How do I upgrade my skills? So we must, on a consistent basis, self-examine ourselves, reflect on who we are, and see where we want to go so we can make not just the greatest attainment and achievement in life, but also make the greatest contributions in life. So wherever you are in your life, however old you are, thank you for joining us. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you claim your power, clarify your purpose, and cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible. So ultimately, you can show up as a better, best, more upgraded, and sharpened version of yourself and inspire others to do the same. So thank you for joining us. Cam, how you doing, my friend, from all the way from Chatham? What's going on, man?
I'm doing really good. Doing really, really good. Seeing the bright side. You know, it's really weird. I feel like I'm kind of lucky because I've been optimist for most of my life. I've always just been able to find what's good in a situation, mostly because I just want to feel good. I remember reading one of the most simple things that Wayne Dyer's ever said is just affirm to yourself, I want to feel good. And when you keep your focus on the fact that you want to feel good, obviously, like in a fight as an example, or an argument or whatever, you ask yourself, he says, ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy and connect with this person? So, that I'm just sort of giving my 2 cents on the bright side before you take away with the next 20 minutes. But really just focusing on what you want, because it's real easy to get caught up in the dark side and what's wrong with the situation or what sucks about life. But ask yourself this question: do you want to feel good or do you want to feel bad? The answer is obviously I want to feel good. So so do something, like focus on something else. And so that's what's helped me a lot. I just want to feel good all the time, obviously. And so in any given situation, I can feel good if I choose, if I just look at what's good. So, but it's weird how like sadness is like this addictive sort of, people want to wallow away in their and like sort of isolate themselves, and it's interesting. And I've been there. Like it's not an easy path, but anyways, that's my experience with it. I feel like I haven't dealt with too much pessimism in my life. Thankfully, I've just been sort of like this jolly character for the longest time. So anyways, take it away, Anthony. How do you see the bright side?
Okay, well, listen, how we're going to start this podcast is that a lot of questions and comments have been coming in this podcast. We've been doing this for 5 months now, consistently 4 months now. And for all my fans out there, all the people that are fans of the show and the people that are supporting this podcast, thank you for joining in. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for your comments and questions. Taking a deep breath. And so I just thought, you know what? We've been doing this for a while now. I thought I'd take a few questions that come in on a weekly basis, consistently, that are consistent with the people, with the basically the overall majority of people's questions about how to change your life, how to upgrade your life, how to cure depression or whatever it might be, how to cure contentment or boredom or whatever it might be. And the question that came in yesterday, and how I came up with this idea to take Q&As and to answer some of these questions live, was the question that was asked to me online yesterday. I just couldn't answer it with the one small paragraph. I thought, you know what, I'll answer it in my next podcast. And I thought, for the next couple of weeks, why not take a lot of questions and then I will answer them live on this podcast each day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the question was, And Cam said, how do you look at the bright side of life when everything around you is pretty much dark? Was how do you get someone who's feeding themselves EMO and depression stuff to see a more positive side of life? And personally, I'm a little older. I didn't know what emo was, and apparently Cam, being a millennial and being a person that's of the times, I'm too old for that. I'm 39 now. I've been 20 years outside of that realm or close to it. And apparently it's a type of music, and it really basically defines what depression is. People that sad music, sadness, depression. And the first thing that came up was this. I answered the question. Let me just read my response was this. First, thanks for your question. I would be first the example that you wish to teach and see in this other person. Then encourage them about all the skills and hidden genius they possess. Everyone has reservoirs of genius awaiting to be awoken. Love them where they are. Let go of trying to change them. Change you first, then inspires others to do the same. To your continued upgrade and evolution, live it up with power, purpose, and passion. That is the first step. We did a relationship 9 steps to improve relationship. And the very first step to improve relationships were to know thyself, examine thyself, be thyself, study thyself. As Lao Tzu said so profoundly, he said this, he wrote the book, The Tao Te Ching, which in some people have called the greatest, most wise book of all time. It's written 2,500 years ago, but still today, as I say to people, is so vital in our society. Principles are timeless, practices are timely. And Lao Tzu said this: those who study others are wise. Those who study themselves are enlightened. So study yourself first. Study your patterns first. See what changes you need to be made to be the best possible version of yourself, the most inspired, loving, caring, passionate version of yourself. And let me tell you something. When it comes to changing your focus and changing your attitude, it is a choice. And you have the power to change your focus. You have the power to change your attitude. You have the power to change how you use your body. You do have this power. But when we get in those states of depression and sadness, and I'm not saying deny them, I'm saying acknowledge that you actually have some problems and go get some help. Go get some help. Go see a life coach. Go see a therapist. Go see someone that you admire and ask for help, not because you're weak, because you want to remain strong. And when I first started getting into peak performance and psychology and integrative techniques and how to really perform at high levels, whether you're an athlete or whether you're a business leader or a business owner or a trainer or a teacher or a dentist, I don't care what role you're playing. Peak performance is not basically just for athletes. It is for musicians. It is for mothers. It is for fathers. It is for spiritual leaders. It is for janitors. It is for teachers. I don't care what role you're playing in life. Peak performance can be applied to any role in life. So how do you peak perform? Well, when I first started studying this, I was reading massive amount of books on psychology, on motivation, on inspiration, spiritual books, from the most simple to the most esoteric. And I just got heavy into it. And then I started listening to the stuff like Wayne Dyer and Zig Ziglar and Les Brown and Tony Robbins. And so many things started to prop up. But there's a point when I started studying this stuff where there was chaos because there's so many different information coming at me, and I loved it, but there was so much that I got to a point where I reached threshold. I reached that sort of critical mass where I reached that apex, and I was like, wait a second, they're all saying the same thing, but in a different way. There's commonalities in all of what they're teaching. And so the most basic fundamental when it comes to changing your life and inspiring others to do the same is what Cam basically said, what you focus in on. Basically, what you focus in on is going to determine how you're going to feel. So basically what happens is, let me ask you a question. If I asked you a question, and I remember listening to a Tony Robbins audio, and he asked this question. Are you focusing on it? If you ended a relationship, like an intimate relationship, are you focusing on, is the meaning you're giving that relate? So you focus on, oh my God, this is the end of a relationship. If that is the meaning that you give your experience, is that going to give you a sense of positive freedom, good feelings? Or what if you gave the meaning of that end of the relationship to, this is the beginning of a new relationship, a new chapter? All of a sudden you have a different sensation. And I remember even Tony Robbins saying, we have 3 decisions that we make on a daily basis. Number 1, what we focus on. Are we focusing on what I'm saying? Are we focusing on what we're eating? Are we focusing on how crappy it is outside or how cold it is? Are we focusing on what, the fact that I'm living in a home in abundance in Canada? Are we focusing on what, the fact that I'm living in a home in abundance in Canada? Are we focusing on how even though it's wintertime, but we live in one of the greatest countries in the world? Or am I focusing on, oh my God, it's winter's coming, and that's the meaning I give it? Depending on what you focus on, where focus goes, energy flows. Where your attention goes, that's where your emotional feelings are going to erupt. And where you focus, that's a feeling comes up from that. And whatever meaning you give your experience and what you focus it on, the second decision you make is from what you focus on is the first decision. Second decision you can make is, what does this mean? Is this the beginning or the end? Is this good or is it bad? Right? So you have that power to change what meaning you have for it. There's a gentleman by the name of Viktor Frankl who wrote a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. He came up with this therapy called logotherapy, logos meaning meaning therapy. And basically what he meant by that was we have the power to change. We can't change our circumstances and experiences at certain times, but we can change the meaning that we place on our experiences from something that's bad to something that's going to help us grow and is serving our evolution. You have that power. Now, the third decision you make is what to do. So basically you're going, what to focus on, what does this mean? And as soon as you put a meaning on that experience, immediately an emotion wells up inside you, in your body, sensations, in your mind, in your heart, all these things. And then you got to the third decision is to take action. Focus, meaning, action. That is happening with lightning speed. So if you change your focus, change your meaning, change your action. That's the key. Now, here's the thing. What determines what you focus in on is determined by the state that you're in. If you're in a depressed, lousy, crappy, my life is no good state, you're going to focus immediately on what's bad. And everything could be going well for you in your life, right? Right now it could be going on well, but then you're in a crappy state and you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm just so tired, exhausted. But everything's going well. Because you're in a crappy state, you're going to focus on what's crappy. You're going to give a crappy meaning, which will well up depression, sadness, anxiety, fear, and then you'll take action in accordance with that meaning, emotion, and focus all at the same. And it almost happens so fast. So you got to to control your focus. You got to control, number one, your state. You got to back up a second. If you notice, I'm moving my body. I'm moving the way I'm speaking to myself. So Tony Robbins calls it the triad. What you focus, language, and physiology. The fastest way to change how you feel in your state is to change your body. That's why I promote exercise so much, because exercise promoting moving your body, moving your lips, moving every muscle in your body, getting your heart rate going, getting the 100 trillion cells turned on. As I say to people all the time, don't wake up in the morning and turn your phone off. Turn yourself on first. Turn yourself on first, and then turn on your phone so you're at a higher state and a capacity to handle whatever challenges come on your phone. Do not turn on your phone first. Work on yourself first. Know thyself, be thyself, express thyself, and sharpen thyself. And then eventually, when you have sharpened yourself and strengthened yourself, then you're going to be able to share yourself with much more power, purpose, clarity, and passion. So that's what I'm talking about first. So let's recap this for a second. Cam basically said at the beginning, change your focus. How do you change your focus? Change the state that you're in. And the state is determined by your focus, your physiology, and what you say to yourself. Could you imagine for a second, if I change one of those three things, if I said to people, okay, and I was trying to motivate you and inspire you, and my physiology was like this, let's just say, and my shoulders were down, my body was down, and then I started to speak to you monotone, hey, Cam, I'm really here to help you really just get really excited about life. And I just started speaking like that with no physiology, no tonality, no timbre. My focus is down. I'm not going to be able to inspire you. Even the most spiritual people in the world, like the Dalai Lama, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, their physiology, they're calm, but their posture, sense of certainty and strength, it's lower in their language, but they speak with power. Jim Rohn didn't speak like Tony Robbins or Les Brown, but he spoke with an intensity of his own kind. It was his own unique way of speaking. His physiology, the way he spoke, and his focus was completely different and shifted completely. So if you shift your focus, what you're focusing on, how you speak and how you say it and what you say to yourself. It's not what I say to you that's important. It's what you say to yourself. And then number three, change how you're using your body. Breathe differently. Move your hands differently. All right. Move your face differently. Like move it. You have 88 muscles in your face. Don't just kind of sit there like this, right? Do facial aerobics, start moving your body, and you will change your state. You will change what you focus in on. You will change the meaning, and you will change your actions. Let me tell you something. That's the most simple. Like I started studying this a long time ago, and it literally changed my life at the beginning. And I still use it to this day. Because again, fundamentals and principles are timeless. Practices are timely. So the people out there that are depressed, that are down, if you don't be that, don't show up as something different. The number one compliment, or I'd say one of the number one compliments I get from people is that, man, your energy, like, wow, like I was down and then I'm in front of you for 5 minutes. I feel energized about my life. I just want to be around you. Your energy is like, it encapsulates me. It exudes something. It lifts me up. And that's how I want to be. I want to be energetic. I want to be alive. I want to be vibrant. And it's infectious. And so I remember a long time ago, one of my mentors, original mentors, said to me a long time ago, he said this, he said, he's a salesperson. He said, the person with the most energy and the most certainty will win the day when it comes to sales. The most energy and certainty. What that meant by me was the person was certain that his or her product or service gave more benefit to the customer than anything that the person would receive. And energy meaning passionate and alive and believing in that service or product. You've got to believe in what I'm telling you. You got to believe it in your body first. You got to believe it in every fiber of your first, and then bring that energy to whatever circumstance, best friend, mother, brother, sister, whatever it might be. You got to bring that energy. So you got to be the change first. Don't look for love. Be the source of light. Don't look for inspiration. Be the source of inspiration. Show up as that first. And only then can you truly influence the people around you and make a real impact around you. Because let me tell you something. How are you supposed to give other people love if you don't have it in yourself? How are you supposed to inspire other people if you yourself aren't inspired? How are you supposed to give up a person's sense of certainty and faith if you don't live it? So you've got to be it first. So show up first, be it first, be that example, show that love, give everything you've got, turn yourself on, not your cell phone on first, turn yourself on. Turn your mind, your heart, your body, every cell in your body. Breathe. I mean, I've done so many different podcasts on this about power breathing and all these things, drinking water and exercising first thing in the morning. And let me tell you, I got up at 3:40 this morning. I did my hour meditation and I turned myself on. I did some yoga, did some weights, did some cardio, and I read a few pages of something inspirational. Man, I'm feeding my soul, I'm feeding my body, and I'm feeding my mind. And I've aligned all three of those things. And man, I feel absolutely amazing. And I feel even more amazing the fact that I'm giving you this information to the people that are listening to this podcast, either actively or passively or wherever you are in this world. I'm here to help you. I mean, I want you to shift your life. I want you to upgrade your life. That doesn't mean by shifting your state that everything's going to be better, but you will be in a state to create solutions to the problems and challenges that are in your life. That's the key. You may not be able to change some of the challenges or the economy or whatever situation or your boss, but you can change you and how you interpret your life and how you process your life. Man, how was that there, Cam? I get all intense about this stuff.
Fantastic, man. Honestly, that was a really good episode, and I highly suggest people literally do this. Wake up in the morning, go on Spotify, because everybody's got Spotify, or if you don't have Spotify and you have Apple Music, then go on your Apple Podcasts and look up Power, Purpose, and Passion and listen to this episode, the entire thing, first thing when you wake up. I promise you.
Yeah.
Like that in itself, like your mind, you won't let your mind wander and do a bunch of stuff. You'll just instantly be inspired by Anthony, and just this episode alone. All the other episodes can just like whatever, but this one, just for that kickstart is really, really, really important. The one thing I would add, honestly, is find something that you're extremely passionate about, because then you have a reason to hop out of bed and turn yourself on. Because it's really easy to think to yourself, yeah, I could do this, but like, what's it all for anyways,
Yes.
So find something that pumps you up. Like when I found my passion, I instantly would do anything that I could do that would help me like get better at my passion or do that more or bring that further. And so I would eat healthy, I would exercise, I would meditate, I'd wake up early, I'd do this, I'd do that, I'd read, I would, I would skip on going to parties and all this stuff so that I could work on this and study that and blah, 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 blah. Found my passion, and then all of a sudden, I was just like willing to do whatever. I was willing to start doing the physiology stuff. I was willing to change my focus, because it's really easy to just like sit around and say, what's it all for anyways, blah, 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 right? So if you have a passion, or even if you have a loved one and you want to just be better for them, I don't know, just figure out a good reason to be better in the first place, to feel better in the first place. Because sometimes, believe it or not, like, the fact that it'll feel good sometimes isn't enough for us, which is weird. It's so weird. So yeah, I would just suggest that one thing is just find a reason.
You know what? I absolutely agree. Because you know what? At the end of the day, if you're doing all these physiology things, but you have no aim for it really, and you're just, you're just doing it for the sake of doing, because Anthony told you or Cam told you or some person told you, yes, you will feel better in the moment. But then long term, if your blueprint is kind of shady and foggy, you can basically change your state in the moment. But if your blueprint about life is life always hands me a lemon and I'm able to change it into lemonade, you'll be able to change in the moment, but long term, you're always going to look at the downside. But equally, you could have a great view of life, but you can't change your state in the moment. Guess what happens? You're not going to move forward, because you can't. How you get to that blueprint and how you achieve that blueprint, how you move forward to that blueprint, takes you changing your state in this moment, because everything happens in this moment. So, you know what? I remember hearing William Blake that said a long time ago, and I remember hearing this from Earl Nightingale. He said, desire is eternal energy or internal presence. And those who desire and act not breed pestilence. Desire is eternal abundance or eternal energy. And those who desire but act not breed pestilence. So you got to desire something. You got to have a reason to actually do something and move towards something, change your focus, change your physiology, change your language. And once you start to do that on a consistent basis and start to act in congruency to your passions or your goals and objectives in life, I promise you, things will start to align. And when you're inspired by those things, let me tell you something. And let me tell you something. I've told this, and I'll end here because I fed you guys a lot today. The one thing I know about humans is this: human beings are the best when they're both being inspired and challenged. Thomas Edison said this: genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Yes, you got to be inspired, but when you're perspiring, when you're working, when you're being challenged by life, when you're thrown into the lion's den in your relationship or in your business or in, running your marathon, whatever version of that is, or you're trying to achieve something or attain something or achieve a financial goal, whatever it is, that's when you're at your best. That's when you're at best, meaning inspiration and perspiration, inspiration, desire, and challenge. That's when you're going to make the greatest growth. That's when you're going to look back and you're going to go, wow, I made the greatest growth in those tough times and those tough challenges. And I'll end here with this quote: tough times don't last, but tough people do. So toughen up, change your focus, change your physiology, change your language, change your state, and you will change your life. Thank you for joining us on the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. And Cam, I see that you're going to say something. No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to real quick mention that my friend Kiera said, I've been watching your videos and taking your advice, and I was just wondering if you could speak on what you recommend to do for a better time management in your daily life without having a lot of stress. There's one thing I know about Kiera. She does so much. She's such a busy person. So maybe tomorrow's episode.
Let's talk about, no, forget about it. Let's reframe it. Don't call it time management. Call it life mastery.
There it is.
That's different. That's different. Don't just call it time, because time management's so boring, but you call it life mastery. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm going to master my life. You can't master time. You can master your life though, by making a few shifts in how you schedule your time and how you show up in the morning and how you end your day, and everything else in between almost takes care of itself. So thank you for that question. Thank you for that comment. We will tackle that tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Cheam, ready to serve you. Thank you for joining us. So if you like this show,